Yo, welcome back to the house where we talk news, celebrities, and hot topics. I'm super excited about the situation because I want to go ahead and talk about y'all's favorite rapper, Miss Nicki Minaj, Eve, Common. Okay, I'm kidding. Common has nothing in common with this situation except for the fact that they were all onto the barbershop, the next cut, way back when in 2016 and things like that. Okay, I want to go ahead and do this story for you guys. So basically, and I wrote a story on this earlier this morning, so go check it out, the Jasmine brand, or you can go to my Instagram and check it out at House of Aaron. All right, so in today's time, about a week or two ago, Eve dropped a memoir. Okay, it's called Who's That Girl? And she's telling these stories about her life and coming up in the industry, etc., etc., etc. One excerpt in the book talks about the fact that she was working on Barbershop, The Next Cut with Nicki Minaj. And of course, at this time, at this day and age, you know, Eve had her success in the female rap industry. And now you have Nicki Minaj, who is, I guess at the time, was kind of like the only one. I mean, you had your Young M.A.'s and you had your Deja Loves and you had your Iggy Azaleas, but I mean, it was really only Nicki Minaj, right? And so in this part of Eve's memoir, she talks about the fact that she kind of had to seek help, right? To mentally and physically prepare herself to be around Nicki Minaj because she wanted to check herself and not project her insecurities onto Nicki Minaj. Okay? Because honestly, when your time has kind of come and gone, and then you have to be around the girl who is like everywhere and making all the money and, you know, is on every cover of every magazine and all over the radio and all over the charts. And, you know, she's broke every barrier really in the female rap space except for in the Grammy category. You know, that can be very intimidating and your insecurities can creep up and you can kind of have a chip on your shoulder about the situation, right? Well, she did not want it, Eve did not want it to be a situation like that. And so she recounts the story about how she had to check herself and not project her insecurities onto Nicki Minaj, who was that girl at the time. Okay. Listen. All right. So this was the excerpt in the book. Hold on. Let me see. Okay. She said, I've lived through what happens when women project their own insecurities onto other women. It happened at the start of my career and continued in waves as my fame grew. I wasn't going to be that woman to someone else. But in order to do that, I had to physically and mentally prepare myself. All right. So I guess she had to mentally and physically prepare herself, not specifically for the Nicki Minaj piece, but just in general, right? She said, Nicki and I were actually fine on set. We got along well and shot our scenes together with no problems. It was nothing like what I had expected, but again, I am thankful that I prepared myself for it. Okay, she continued. I see her writing songs on the bus in between takes, hurrying off set to go hit some show dates over the weekend, and then come right back on set for these 12 to 16-hour shoots, all while trying to hold together her personal life and her relationship. It was at that moment that I didn't envy her, and I kind of wanted to give her a hug. I thought I was going to resent her, and really all I felt was compassion. I remember being that person, that girl who felt like she had to do it all, that girl who was pressured to do it all because it was all eyes on her. Instead of feeling insecure around Nicki, I started to sympathize with her. And I thought that was beautiful. And what's interesting is that, and it takes a lot of transparency and vulnerability, which is exactly what Nicki Minaj said, right? You know, it takes a lot for a person to be like, hey, I have my insecurities and I don't want to project that onto somebody else. Let me check myself. Let me work on myself so that I'm not a nasty person to the new girl who is now the biggest star, right? Nicki tweeted, she said, Dear Eve, the various things you've shared recently are groundbreaking for so many reasons. First, thank you. The level of grace, the level of emotional and spiritual maturity it takes to be this vulnerable and transparent is a sign of true peace, happiness, fulfillment, and mastery of self. I would completely 100% agree with that. Nicki Minaj is so right. She goes on to say, well, I wrote, Nicki went on to express her admiration for Eve's career, noting that she looked up to her during her Rough Rider days and appreciated how Eve handled her own challenges in the industry. Okay. Nicki Minaj went on to say, I remember, and this is where I looked at Nicki Minaj like, okay, this is interesting. She said, I remember telling a friend of mine that I didn't think you, Eve, liked me after our first day on set together. Okay. Okay, that was an interesting piece. That was an interesting piece of information. She went on to tweet, but you know something crazy? I swear I knew, in all caps, Nicki says, I knew that you could tell, Eve. Okay. I knew that you, Eve, could tell that deep down inside that I really liked you. So you went easy on me. Okay. Okay. Listen, I read in between the lines. I'm not going to even give my opinion on that. I just think that's interesting to add that piece in there. She's telling everybody, you didn't like me, but I liked you. Okay. So, my opinion overall on the whole story is that, Nicki Minaj has beefed with Lotto and City Girls at one point in time, and who else? Cardi B at one point in time, and she was beefing with who else? Let me just look it up. Who has Nicki Minaj beef with? Okay, here we go. Cardi B, City Girls, Lotto, Lil Kim, Megan Thee Stallion, of course, Remy Ma. The list goes on and on and on and on. A lot of the fans say, I don't know if this can be verified, but a lot of the fans read between the lines and they say that Nicki has an issue with Doja pandering to her fans. And I've heard that Nicki is not really the biggest fan of Coi Leray. And I've heard that she's not really the biggest fan of some other girls. Okay. So I say that to say, I hope that Nicki Minaj takes what Eve said about not projecting those insecurities, and I hope that she applies that to her way of being. Seeming as though she has had lots of scuffles and issues with a lot of the newer women who have found success in the industry. And I know a lot of bards will say, well, what does she have to be insecure about? What does she have to be jealous about? What does, what doesn't Nicki have that these other women don't? And this is not me trying to drag Nicki Minaj down, but she's getting older. And let's not pretend that, I'm not saying that she's not selling. I'm not saying that she's still not successful. But what I'm saying is that the music isn't hitting like how it was used to hitting. And she doesn't really have the performance stamina of a lot of the other girls. And a lot of the girls are coming up on her records and they're winning Grammys and they have #1 singles and they're doing really, 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 really great things in the industry. Right? So listen, I'm not calling Nicki Minaj insecure, but I'm just saying I hope that she is not projecting her insecurities onto these younger women that she's been beefing with. So y'all let me know how y'all feel about that situation in the comments down below. Just a quick note on this. Y'all see this right here? Hold on. Y'all see this? This was a tweet and delete from Nicki Minaj's account 1:39 p.m. at today, September 23rd, 2024. Y'all know that she's been, really on Jay-Z's ass. She went in on Jay-Z and Rock Nation for really months and months ago. She went in on Rock Nation, I guess for, I don't know, pushing Megan Thee Stallion. I don't know. She's going in on Rock Nation about a week or so ago when they did not choose Lil Wayne to do the halftime performance, but it was Kendrick Lamar instead. So she was really upset about that. And we know that Rock Nation and Jay-Z, they choose the halftime performer along with Apple Music. And I'm sure it's a whole panel committee of people that help choose. But, some sources say that Jay-Z has sole control. And some people say that, it's a collective. So listen, neither here nor there, but whatever. And then she went, I think it was last week, she talked about the fact that Jay-Z's company Tidal scammed her and tried to offer her, they had equity. A lot of these artists, Beyonce, Rihanna, Nicki Minaj, they had equity in Tidal, and then they ended up years later selling Tidal off. And apparently Nicki Minaj, according to Nicki Minaj, she really didn't make anything from that. And she recently went onto Twitter and said that she didn't really make any money, or she said that Tidal didn't make any money from that sale, or Jay-Z or whoever owned it at the time did not make any money off of that sale. So they really had no equity to give the owners of Tidal. However, which is not what was reported way back years ago on Billboard, but that's whatever. But she said basically that she got scammed and they tried to hush her up with $1 million, but forced her to sign the contract within 24 hours and she turned it down, whatever. So she's been really going in on Jay-Z lately. And so funny enough, earlier today, this afternoon, Beyonce posted like some promo pics for her new whiskey, Sir Davis. A little bit of time after that, Nicki Minaj writes on Twitter, "Robot on timing." Now, the girls seem to think that Nicki Minaj is talking about Beyonce. I'm not too sure. I don't know. I think it would be interesting if Nicki Minaj really is, talking about Beyonce. If she has pressure on Beyonce, we know Beyonce married to Jay-Z. Jay-Z is owner of Roc Nation. Roc Nation, Nicki Minaj hates. Okay, that's the connection there. Okay, so I don't know. If she is talking about her, she might be trying to throw us off, shading her on Twitter, allegedly, possibly, supposedly, and then going on her tour, dancing to Sweet Dreams every night. Okay, I'm not sure how that works, but listen, some of the girls seem to think that Beyonce is a robot and she's she's just posting and she's acting like the Diddy thing isn't happening, and she's, I guess, ignoring the fact that they're after her husband next. And I don't know. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about everything in the comments down below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to create a great day.